focus on getting deposits. Evil in the way, now I'm just driving around it. They said I need a soul searching, I already found it. I ain't like my other side, now I'm sounding astounded. Drive by and let it ride like a whip in a Tesla. Pressure never fazed me, cause I'm bigger than pressure. I'm on my grind, bullshit, I can't fit on my schedule. I'ma do what's best for me, you can keep all your lectures. Spend the summer stacking bread, might be gone to November. Pulling up like Trey Young.
What up, what up? Welcome to Brummin Around, a Heisman Hopeful Hot podcast where I interview a coach about all things Heisman Hopeful. Along with my questions, fan questions are sprinkled in to give all the users the opportunity to get in the heads of some of the best and worst college coaches around. You're in for a good one today. On this episode, we're headed to Pasadena, California to get a glimpse at the brass from the University of Southern California, a historic program that's seen its ups and downs, but for the most part has always been a sought-after destination for coaches and players alike. 11 national titles, 8 Heisman Trophy winners, including 2022 winner Caleb Williams, set in a highly prosperous region for recruiting, and now with name, image, and likeness, a lucrative spot for incoming college players as they navigate their college careers. Today we sit down. The first edition of Brummin Around is with the new guy on campus at USC, the Honorable Coach Mo. Mo, thanks for sitting down with us here. How you feeling?
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. So how it's gonna work is pretty simple. I got a list full of questions. I'm gonna rifle at you. Whatever you want to answer. Whatever you don't want to answer, just let me know. So first, most coaches know what they want to do when they walk into a new job, whether it's developing players, trying to compete right away, whatever. Mo, what's your approach going into SC?
So this program's got two goals. Goal number one, and I think is the most important, is we want to be a recruiting powerhouse. We want to bring back our recruiting prowess. We've lost it in the last few years. There's been Oregon and Washington. We're not as powerful as we used to be in recruiting, but we're hoping for that to change here. Number two is, as you know, USC is now in the big conference. We used to be in the Pac-12. So it's just basically just getting used to the new conference, getting used to the traveling schedule. We got a lot more games out in the Midwest. And we just got to figure that out for our program pretty much.
I got you. Hey, so I want to dive back into the recruiting part of your program. Recruiting's a big deal in any program, obviously. So that's going to lead me into the first of a few fan questions that we have. So fan question number one. What are your expectations as far as recruiting goes in SC, and who do you feel your biggest threat is on the recruiting trail as far as fellow coaches?
We want to be a top 5 recruiting program. That's the goal. That hasn't changed. We want to have the best QB. We're known for having a tradition of great QBs here at USC, and we don't want that to change. We also want to focus on defense. We want to branch out of California. We want to be able to go out to Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Utah, all those states, and kind of build a network out here in the West Coast, and maybe get a few players in the Southeast, a few players in the Midwest, build a tremendous program here.
So who do you think is your biggest threat on your recruiting trail?
I would say my number one threat locally is probably Oregon. And then nationally, I'd probably say maybe Michigan, Ohio State, a lot of those big schools. And obviously the traditional Southeast powerhouses, Alabama, Georgia.
I got you. Hey, so I want to continue on talking about the recruiting trail. Obviously, you lost Caleb Williams to the draft. Phenomenal talent. One of the greatest Trojans of all time. Wish him the best. But here comes a fan question for you. Another one. What's the plan post Caleb Williams? Have you identified your quarterback of the future? Or are you just kind of holding the line until you can get into recruiting and find one that suits what you want to do?
We've got a tremendous junior who's going to be starting this year. Miller Moss, he played well against LSU in our first game. He showed a lot of poise. I like the way he was getting the football out. However, we are definitely looking to upgrade since he's a junior. we're definitely looking ahead to the future, and we have a prospect that we're scouting right now who y'all won't believe, man. This guy's been compared to Michael Vick, so we'll be hot on his trail, and hopefully we can land it in the next few weeks.
Got you. Hey, when it comes to your running back situation, you have a lot of decent backs over there. Have you figured out if anybody is the guy? We saw a little glimpse in your win against LSU, or your game against LSU.
Obviously, we have a stable of running backs. Right now, we're giving them all reps, and we're trying to see which one stands out from the few. But our goal is just to have a stable of running backs, keep them all fresh, keep the wear and tear down, and if a front runner emerges, he does. But right now, we don't have a favorite going in. It's kind of just a committee right now.
Got you. Copy that. Copy that. Hey, let's stay on the offensive side, right? Let's talk about this guy. 31 receptions last year, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. Anybody who's from the West Coast knows that I'm talking about Zachariah Branch. Here's a fan question that came regarding him. The question is, what are your expectations for him this year coming into his sophomore year?
Well, Zachariah, he's a tremendous young man. I've had the pleasure of recruiting him, bringing him into our program, and I've watched him grown from his freshman year. Now he's a sophomore. We hope to have him for 2 more seasons, but he could be going pro. And we expect him to be a leader for this football program. We also have his brother on the team. He is a strong safety. We recruited them together actually, and his brother Zion's a tremendous special teams player, and couldn't be happier from the Branch brothers. They're out here and they're making a name for themselves. And when you think of USC, you think of the tradition at wide receiver, from Keyshawn Johnson to Juju to you know who's that guy? Jordan Addison. We got a strong tradition of wide receivers, and I expect him to uphold that tradition.
Yeah, Branch, man, he's gonna be something special. I look forward to seeing him coming into his own here. Let's talk about your defense. Got to be honest. The one thing that scares me when looking at your team is your defense. Your defense worries me. Are you worried about your defense?
The defense is not the strongest side of the ball. However, we've got the pieces in place to be a strong unit, and we still have Barry Alexander anchoring the defensive line. But that's why we recruit. We're out here recruiting defense. We're going heavy on defense this year, and we're retooling, and we're going to be back with a strong defense here, hopefully the next year or two.
Now, what are you trying to do to bolster that defensive group right now?
Well, our three starting corners are all seniors, so they're going to be gone next year. So cornerback is a main objective in terms of recruiting. We're trying to get stronger at cornerback, and we're trying to replace Alexander and Myers, who are probably going to be gone after this year. Alexander will probably definitely be going pro. So those are our main concerns: secondary and the trenches, and just building what we have so far.
Yeah, so looking at your schedule, we already talked about you going in and handling Reggie and his Bayou Tigers at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looking ahead, we got Cary in a couple weeks. You'll bring a Wisconsin in here, heavy running attack for the most part. You got a little what should be easy pickings against Utah State, but you never know. But I want to talk about the Shamron Bowl. That's what I want to talk about. How do you feel about that Week 4 matchup going to Michigan to take on DJ?
Well, me and DJ, I've coached under his tree before. We employ the same kind of offense sometimes. We run a similar playbook, and so that could be a strength for me, just knowing what kind of tendencies he has, what kind of play he likes to run, what kind of formations he likes to line up in, and what I think he's going to do out of those formations. So I think people are thinking it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be a closer game than what people think.
Right. How do you handle the pressure of running that program there?
Just one day at a time, man. One day at a time.
I got you.
That's all you can do. It's a huge program. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to building something special here.
Got you. Hey, I got 2 more questions. All right, they're pretty much opinionated questions concerning the rest of Heisman hopefuls, and the first one being, aside from yourself, what 3 coaches do you consider to be forces to be reckoned with in Heisman hopefuls?
You know what? Obviously, we like to focus on our own program here, but if I would name 3 programs that I think have a real shot at winning the national title this year, I would have to go with Texas. Let's see, we got Texas, we got Florida State, and Michigan. I think Michigan is the front runner for the Big conference, and that's why the game is so important to us.
You're not saying that because of DJ, right? You're not scared of him, right?
No, I'm looking at the talent. I'm looking at the talent. I'm looking at the scheduling and just who's in each conference and
all right, so
who I think can really make a title run.
We talked about Florida State. We talked about Michigan. We talked about Texas. So out of those schools or another school, my last question for you, Mo, is simply, who wins the Natty this year? Who wins it all?
I think the obvious answer is probably going to be USC, but that's why we play the game.
I got you.
That's why we play the game. We got to see how it all shakes out.
I got you.
The goal is to get into the playoffs, and then anything can happen from there.
Well, Mo, hey, I appreciate you taking your time out. Sorry it took us a little bit of time to get this coordinated. Look forward to seeing what you're going to do. Congratulations on your win against the LSU Tigers in Week 1. You got anything else for the crowd?
Go Trojans.
All right, Mo, appreciate you.
Appreciate you. You bet. Have a good one.